Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd talk today a little bit about the foundations that I've been using recently. In particular, one brand that I'm really liking, and you'll be astonished to hear it's actually quite a very, very reasonably priced brand, and that's The Ordinary. And one that I haven't liked at all, the ByTERRY. I'm adding those really to my usual routine. I think those of you who have watched me in the past will know that I generally use a mixture of Chanel and Tom Ford products, and that I use other things, but I use a lot of them, particularly in foundation, although my favourite foundation of all time is in fact a ByTERRY product, which I've talked about before, the Cover Expert. I'm not going to talk about that again today, but that was partly what motivated me to try out the ByTERRY Nude Expert duostick when that came out earlier this year. I have had this a little while actually, and just not really known what category to talk about it in, so it's coming to you today. Now this I took to be, although it's called a Cover and Glow Stick Foundation, ByTERRY's version of the stick foundation. And I have to say that in general terms, I'm not a huge fan of that particular type of foundation. I have used the Bobbi Brown ones in the distant past. I think they were one of the earliest brands to bring out foundation in stick form, and the Bobbi Brown one was absolutely fine. My favourite one, and the only one that I use with any regularity and that I keep in my foundation arsenal, in fact I have it in two shades, is, surprise surprise, the Tom Ford, what's it actually called? It doesn't actually say. I think it's just their stick foundation. I have it in two shades because I'm kind of between the two at different times of the year. And if I tell you, this product is about 60 odd pounds now, so, you know, not to be bought lightly, particularly if you're not sure that you want to use a stick foundation. I find them very awkward to use, but not this one. I have had this for a number of years now, and you can see it's wound down there and hardly used. It's very densely pigmented. What I like about it is it's also quite moisturising. You do have to blend it with your fingers. It needs kind of warming up. And I tend to use this product more actually in the winter, cold weather, when I'm wearing quite a lot of makeup, and when, because it's climatically challenging, the redness around my chin and nose area is more pronounced. And there are two ways of dealing with that. One is concealer, obviously, but I actually find the ByTERRY stick foundation lasts longer. So it is a product that I do use, and I do recommend it if you're looking at stick foundations. It is quite moisturising stroke oily, so it may not be for those with very oily or breakout prone skin, but I've never had any breakout problems with it. Now, so I was quite excited to see the ByTERRY version because, as I say, my all-time favourite foundation, a liquid foundation, is cream really in a tube. Foundation is by ByTERRY. It's a beautiful, luminous, glowy, long-lasting foundation that doesn't irritate, and it's their Cover Expert, and I go back to it again and again. You can see the difference in sizes. The ByTERRY, I think I paid about £40 for, and it's a lot less product. That didn't really bother me, but what does bother me when I tried to use it is two things. First of all, it's a kind of dual concept. So you've got the foundation, the darker colour there, and then a highlighting so that you can kind of touch up and make it luminous. Not a highlighter per se, but to kind of rub in and control, I suppose, is the way I read how to use it, the level of luminosity of the foundation. So that was quite an attractive idea to me when I read about it, but I have to say I find it very difficult to make to work in real life. If you at base, the foundation is not really that blendable, or I haven't found it to be. I found it quite drying on the skin. I've tried using it with fingertips and with a brush because fingertips often kind of warms up these types of foundation when you're applying them, and neither really worked brilliantly well for me. I also found it quite difficult to kind of manipulate the mixing of the foundation and the glow, and alternatively, if I just tried to use them as entirely separate on different parts of the face, using the highlighter bit as a traditional highlighter, I guess, on, say, the cheekbones, I didn't really find it a particularly gorgeous highlighter. I don't know if this is going to work as swatching. There you can see it's quite a light silvery, not at all glittery, but not really highlightery enough for me. Some people might like it. There's the foundation. I don't think perhaps it was the most brilliant match for my skin, but it basically, I found I had to cake on quite a lot to get even a light coverage, and it just felt very drying. So that, I'm afraid, has been a fail for me. I don't know, maybe you could get it to work if you're not using it as an all-over foundation, you're using it as a sort of concealer, but even then I think a liquid concealer would be easier. I don't know, I haven't seen that many reviews of this product, and I'm kind of sad to give it a negative review because as a whole I like the ByTERRY makeup range, but this was just a fail for me, and an expensive fail at that. Now, to balance that out, The Ordinary is a very budget-friendly range that's had a lot of publicity. I think it's a Canadian range. There's quite a lot of negative publicity about the founder at the moment. I'm not going to go into all that, but the concept really was to kind of isolate skin ingredients in skincare in particular, presenting that in quite a kind of clinical way. The bottles are like the sort of apothecary, basic chemist bottles that you get it in, and it's very, very cheap. I've had a number of the products from the skincare range, and I've been using them on and off for quite a long time, and I haven't really spoken to you about them because I'm finding it quite hard really to form a view on them. So that's really a topic for a separate video. But I did relatively recently, in the early summer, buy 2 bottles of the new makeup range. They, as far as I can tell, have at the moment certainly available for buyers in the UK at Cult Beauty, which is where I get mine from. 2 sorts of foundations. This foundation, which is called the coverage foundation, so the higher coverage, and a serum foundation, which I will definitely now try when I get around to buying another bottle, and 2 primers, a silicone primer and a non-silicone primer. So good idea there, because there are a lot of people who don't like silicone primers and people who do. Clear choices to be made. I bought 2 of the high coverage foundations, as you see, in 2 different shades. And again, the shade concept, because I had to buy them mail order, I had to go guesswork. There's a huge range, which is very, very nice. And they're categorised, the usual kind of fair, pale, etc., but also with skin colour undertones, so yellow, pink, red, neutral. I wasn't quite sure what to go for, so I went for very light shade. They're 10 in pink undertone and neutral undertone, and both of them, well, you can see there, it's not a huge difference. Both of them work quite well for me. If anything, the neutral is slightly better at the moment, but there's not much in it. Both of them absolutely wearable. They're really good foundations, especially for the price. If I tell you, I think they were £5.95 or £5.75 each. It's not a huge bottle, but that doesn't bother me. They're well pigmented, so I've been using them a ton, and there's plenty of product there. Go out and buy this stuff. It's really good value, really good coverage. I use with a blending brush, and it does a good job. It's a decent last, not the absolute best in the world, but good enough for a working day or an evening out. The finish is more matte than luminous, I would say, but not too matte. It doesn't make me look completely flat. I do need to do a bit of contouring and a bit of luminizing. which is why it wouldn't be my absolute favourite foundation, but for the price it is really, really good. So I would encourage you to check that out if you're looking for a very reasonably priced, reliable foundation. The only thing is it's quite difficult to get your hands on these in the UK. Basically got to go online. As far as I'm aware, there may be stores that stock it in store, I don't know. So you're then left to kind of slightly guess what shade you want, but at £5 odd a bottle, you know, that's not too bad. So yeah, that's a thumbs up from me, and until next time, bye for now.